the personalization of advertising, we talked about AR and community, sort of multiple people. Do you see, I mean, Jake, are you looking at new ways that you can create, for example, you're moving from traditional advertising to more branded content, creating social experiences. Are you seeing that that's a sort of a trend that's emerging with what you can do with, for example, AR?
Yeah, I think we're definitely getting there. I personally absolutely love that every furniture manufacturer is now allowing me to put a digital version of that piece of furniture in my living room. It's how I basically added all the furniture that I ultimately purchased for the VR room I have in my house. So like it works, and Amazon is recently doing more and more of that. We've done a ton of that with Home Depot and a couple other brands to do augmented reality advertising. I think there's like the utility side of that, but then also thinking about, yeah, the personalization, where is that line a little bit for us? I think, again, if the value proposition is positive, I think name is one thing that's definitely an interesting way to go, is understanding what that consumer profile is looking for with an ad. Like I was at Cannes recently, and I think like the world of branded content is amazing right now. It's fantastic. And thinking of it less of like augmented reality ads and more about augmented reality branded content, super positive future. We have like a very simple equation for what makes good XR overall at Ryot. So it's this idea for a consumer, you want to inspire curiosity, reward that curiosity with moments of wonder, and then ultimately the best experiences, and sometimes we get that with an ad, sometimes it's a lot to pack into like 10 seconds, is to reward that with moments of reflection. So kind of going back to that Overwatch example, for me is like if I'm able to say, wait, I can put an Overwatch character in my space, rewarding that curiosity with having them physically there, having that mini game type experience, and then what that moment of reflection is like, do I want to go back to the game? What are these new maps like? It's not the deepest emotional questions for that one, but is where you're going to start to see, I think, a lot of that engagement where people aren't scared of it, aren't worried about it in the same way that like when I see an Instagram ad right now, it's pretty freaky. It's not enjoyable. It's just something that we kind of like digging more.
And Jason, I mean, you do a lot in gaming. You mentioned retail cases earlier. What are the retail use cases you see that are coming forward, really leveraging the edge technologies? Well, what can edge enable in terms of retail and advertising that hasn't been possible before?
Well, I mean, so a few of the ones are, rather than having mirrors in the stores, there's standard displays that can display whatever you'd like, but the second somebody stands in front of it, it actually then captures them and becomes a display. And you can either do things on the display or do things on, say your smartphone that then, becomes, you can try stuff on, different things there. But I think there's a lot of interesting ideas around what's being done from a display technology and then how it sort of mirrors that world. And then I'd say the other two areas are really largely on discovering something in the store and finding out where something is that you want. And so there's no different than sort of in-building type navigation and discovery and where that is and how that connects to the catalog out there. And pretty much most of the applications sit in those general areas.
Okay, and when we're in the advertising space, Ian, should we be thinking about new currencies to value advertising? Because it seems when something is hyper-personalized and you can put it natively into someone's content feed, should we be valuing that, or should content distributors be valuing that in a different way to traditional advertising?
Sorry, repeat that again?
So if you look at traditional TV advertising,
Yeah.
you sell on a CPM model, etc. We're now into a world of hyper-personalization that can take you into a different sort of sales funnel. Do the current advertising models support that, or should we be also looking at a new way to value advertising and value branded content we have today?
Yeah, I mean, I think, understanding each individual user, is key, right? So in the past, it was all about, if this answers your question, understanding the screen or the household in front of you, right? So I think the key is to move, addressable TV has always been talking about this, right? Moving to the understanding which individual users, and I think you're leveraging maybe how they're actually accessing that content through, perhaps a partner like a service provider, then you can start to actually realize who each individual user is. So it could raise the value of what the advertising could do, but you know, at the same time, maybe you don't always want to get right to each individual user, because it's, you know, you do want to keep that range, right? It's easier to create advertising that's maybe on a wider range than, you know, specifying who's going to be viewing that.
How are you looking at Verizon? Obviously, you do a massive amount